Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis. And like I promised last week, we're back to talking about music this week. Last week was a significant week for people of a certain generation. Ace Frehley passed away. Ace Frehley, as you know, lead guitarist, or original lead guitarist for the rock group Kiss. And this hit a lot of us pretty hard. Kiss was my first favorite band. Okay, when I've mentioned several times, I grew up the youngest of four children, and so when I was a kid, whenever we had music playing in the house, it was always music that somebody else picked. My parents picked it, or one of my older siblings picked it. I never got to pick the music. I was way too far down on the pecking order. And so my first favorite artists and favorite albums and favorite songs and stuff like that tended to be artists like the Beatles and BTO and Yes, that my older siblings were fans of, or artists like Roy Clark and Roger Miller that my parents were fans of. Kiss was different. Kiss was a group that I found through my friends, not through my family. And it was music that I liked, not necessarily the rest of the family liked, right? And so they inhabit a very special place in my heart, and they always have, and they always will. They were one of my first favorite bands, and I really liked them then because, first off, it's just good, fun, guitar-driven rock. I like that. Second, the lyrics were slightly naughty. You know, even when I was, 11, 12, I guess 12 years old, 13 years old. Well, anyway, they were not subtle in their lyrics, so I could pick up on it. But mostly because of the theatricality of it, the makeup and the costumes and the elaborate set on the stage, and the pyrotechnics and all of that. That blew my young mind at the time. I still like them today because they recorded a shitload of just really good, fun pop rock music when they were recording. One of the first videos that I did when I started doing these discussion videos was a Kiss album ranking. And if you've watched that video, you'll know I'm not a typical Kiss fan. If you are watching this because you are a typical dyed-in-the-wool Kiss fan, chances are I'm just going to piss you off all the way throughout this thing, because I don't respond to the same things that most Kiss fans respond to. I like Kiss because they were a good, like I said a second ago, they were a good power pop band. And I really love their power pop stuff. And most of their albums had at least one good power pop song on them. Some of them were mostly power pop. Those tend to be the albums that I like, even though they are the albums that other Kiss fans don't. Oh well, can't win them all. So today, we're going to celebrate Kiss. We are going to do a strange mix-up of music video tropes today. I've got my top 10 singles, and I've got my top 10 album tracks, and we're going to pit them together in a track versus track that I am calling the Great Kiss Off. I like that. Before we get into the Great Kiss Off, first, today it's not a true top 10, so I'm switching beers. Mostly I'm switching beer because I don't have any of my good Schofferhofer. Instead, we're back to Dos Equis. So today's video is unofficially sponsored by Dos Equis. Good beer. Not as good as Schofferhofer, but good. Actually, I'm going to put it over here. Why reach all the way over there? I got a coaster over here, too. Secondly, anytime we're talking about relative quality, we talk about the subjectivity notice here at Papa Nick's Music. We firmly believe here at Papa Nick's Music that artistic appreciation is inherently subjective. There's no such thing as objectively good art or objectively bad art. There's only art we like and art we don't. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's entertaining, it's informative, it is our chance to see the world from somebody else's perspective. And I would argue that is always a good thing. The conversation, though, goes right into the dumper as soon as as soon as one or the other people involved in said conversation starts insist on being seen as objectively right. Well, that album is just that song is objectively better than no, there's no such thing as objectively better. The fact that we're saying better means we're making a relative judgment. Relative judgments are, by definition, subjective. So I'm not making objective claims here. If you're a traditional Kiss fan and you hate the songs that I've picked for these top tens, by all means, drop that note down below. I always love hearing from you. Just don't tell me I'm objectively wrong. I would appreciate that. This is like my 5th attempt to say this, so. For today's, for today's exercise, we are limiting ourselves to the original makeup years, 1974 to 1982. 1974, the release of their self-titled debut. 1982, the release of Creatures of the Night, their last album when they wore the original makeup. We're just in there. We're not going after Creatures of the Night, because after Creatures of the Night, I pretty much stopped paying attention to it. And I have no interest in, in plumbing those depths. We are also excluding the solo albums, the 1978 solo albums. We're just limiting ourselves to the original studio recordings between Kiss and Creatures of the Night. That's 10 albums there. And what I did to prepare for this is, first I went and made a list of all of the singles that they released off of those albums. There were 29 of them. I was surprised they had released that many singles, if Wikipedia can be believed. And I picked all of the album tracks that weren't released as singles that I really like, the tracks that I would recommend to people if they want to listen to Kiss and understand Kiss the way I do. It turns out there were 29 of those as well. I was kind of surprised. That's an amazing bit of synchronicity there. But I went ahead and whittled both of those lists down to a top 10. So I've got my top 10 singles and my top 10 album tracks. Okay? And what we're going to do is, one by one, we're going to go through these. I'm going to tell you what the number 10 is in each pile, and then I'm going to pick the winner, and then when we get to the end, we'll see whether we like the singles better or the album tracks better. Cool? Cool. Coming in at number 10. Okay, at number 10, the single I have at number 10 is from 1976's Destroyer. I believe, yeah, that was 1976. Memory, first thing to go. Song written by Peter Criss, Stan Pendridge, and Bob Ezrin. Of course, their smash single, Beth. I really like Beth. It's just a lovely song. That's my number 10 single, Beth. My number 10 album track from the album Dynasty, a song written by Gene Simmons and Howard Marks, we have Charisma, one of my favorite tracks on that album. So, Beth and Charisma, which one am I going to pick? Okay, that was pretty easy. I'm picking Charisma. I mean, I like Beth, don't get me wrong. But I like Charisma a little bit better. It's got a funkier groove to it. Coming in at number 9, among the singles, we have from the album Unmasked in 1980. Yes, 1980. We have Shandy. I really like Shandy. I liked it when it came out, even though it was co-written by Vinnie Poncia, and I just have to come to grips with the fact that I don't like Vinnie Poncia as a producer, but it turns out I kind of like him as a songwriter. Shandy, co-written by Paul Stanley and Vinnie Poncia. My number 9 single. Coming in at number 9 in my album tracks from their debut album Kiss, we have Let Me Know, written by Paul Stanley. Just gotta decide, girl, and then you let me know. I like that song a lot. Let Me Know versus Shandy. Okay, we're gonna go with Shandy on that one. They're both Paul Stanley songs, so. But yeah, Shandy is I like the recording of Let Me Know better because Shandy suffers from being on Unmasked and being produced by Vinnie Poncia, whom I have already mentioned I do not care for as a producer, but I really like the song. Coming in at number 8, the single at number 8, written by Paul Stanley, we have from Rock and Roll Over, Hard Luck Woman. Peter Criss sings it and sings the hell out of it. It's a great song. Coming in at number 8 on my album tracks, Ooh, from the Creatures of the Night album. Not an album that I generally recommend that much. I like it, don't get me wrong, but we have Saint and Sinner, written by Gene Simmons and Michael Japp. And I really like Saint and Sinner. I like Hard Luck Woman a lot too. Hard Luck Woman is has got the nostalgic tug of when I was a teenager, and that was out the first time around. Saint and Sinner. Yeah, I'm going with Saint and Sinner. I mean, I like Hard Luck Woman, but I like Saint and Sinner a lot. Coming in at number 7. My number 7 Kiss single, written by Paul Stanley and Bob Ezrin from the Destroyer album, we have Detroit Rock City. Classic Kiss song. And coming up against that at number 7, we have from Hotter Than Hell, song written by Gene Simmons, and that's Watching You. I really like Watching You. I really like Watching You a lot. But Detroit Rock City is Detroit Rock City. I mean, come on. We're going with Detroit Rock City on that one. Coming in at number 6. Among my singles at number 6, we have the one that kicked it all off as far as national publicity goes. I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day. Rock and Roll All Night, written by Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Up against one of their classic tracks from their debut album, Cold Gin, written by Ace Frehley. Now, these are both really good, fun party songs. Rock and Roll All Night is cultural touchstone, but Cold Gin is just a kick-ass song. So we're going with Cold Gin on that one. Coming in at number 5. Before I get to number 5. That's pretty decent beer. Inside joke. Coming in at number 5 among the singles, I have, now this is the point where diehard, dyed-in-the-wool Kiss fans are going to start throwing shit at their monitors. And I apologize right up front. I told you up front I was going to piss you off with some of these things. Coming in at number 5, I have from the album Music from the Elder, A World Without Heroes, which is a song that I just love. I like performing it as well. It's one of the few Kiss songs I do in my regular set lists. Written by Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Bob Ezrin, and believe it or not, Lou Reed. I think he wrote like one line. World Without Heroes is just a lovely song. It's a lovely ballad. Coming in at number 5 among the album tracks, also a Gene song. Gene wrote it. Gene sings it. It is the Kiss classic, Deuce. World Without Heroes versus Deuce. World Without Heroes versus Deuce. Now, you dyed-in-the-wool Kiss fans, you're saying to yourselves, this is not a contest. Why is he even hesitating here? But I really like A World Without Heroes. Take that song, let anybody else perform it, and I'm still really going to like it. Take Deuce, let anybody else perform it. I'm not sure that I'm going to like it, right? I like Deuce because it's a Kiss song. I like A World Without Heroes just because I like it as a song. World Without Heroes versus Deuce. Yeah, I'm sorry to piss y'all off. I'm going World Without Heroes. This is the point where I just lost. My last straggler diehard Kiss fan just quit. Gave up in disgust. Sorry about that, guys. Coming in at number 4. At number 4 among the singles, we have from Destroyer, Shout It Out Loud, written by Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and Bob Ezrin. Up against that, we have from their debut, written by Paul Stanley, we have Black Diamond. One of those songs that Peter sang, even though he didn't write it. Black Diamond versus Shout It Out Loud. Now, Black Diamond, that's one of those Stone Cold classics. I mean, that first album. Oh, okay. There are a couple of stinkers on there, but for the most part, that is a rock solid album. That's the album that they based all of their concerts on, right? I mean, 40 years later, they're still playing the bulk of that album. But Shout It Out Loud, whew, man. Shout It Out Loud or Black Diamond. Shout It Out Loud or Black Diamond. Okay, this is hard. I watch track versus track videos, and I'm always kind of surprised that it takes them as long as it does to make a choice, because I'm always, oh yeah, that one, oh that one, that one, that one. This is hard. Shout It Out Loud versus Black Diamond. Yeah, no, it's not hard. I've just been afraid to do it. I'm going Shout It Out Loud over Black Diamond. Shout It Out Loud is just, it is an anthem of my youth in a way that Black Diamond simply isn't. So, Shout It Out Loud takes that one. Okay, coming in at number 3. Among the singles, we have Let Me Go Rock and Roll from Hotter Than Hell, I believe that one's from. Is that from Hotter Than Hell? Let's double check that real quick. Yep, that's Hotter Than Hell. So we've got at number 3, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, written by Gene and Paul. Up against my album track at number 3 is from Dressed to Kill, and it's Rock Bottom. The song itself written by Paul Stanley. The guitar intro was written by Ace Frehley. Let Me Go Rock and Roll versus Rock Bottom. Yeah, that's actually pretty easy. Let Me Go Rock and Roll takes that one. As much as I like Rock Bottom. Okay, coming in at number 2. My number 2 song among the singles, one of their hits. I mean, Beth was a hit. Rock and Roll All Night was a hit. This was not as big a hit, but it was still a decent-sized hit. From Dynasty, written by Paul Stanley and Vinnie Poncia, we have Sure Know Something. Oh my God, do I love that song. Going against that, in my album tracks, number 2, from Hotter Than Hell, we've got Comin' Home, written by Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley. And I really like Comin' Home. Comin' Home, probably my favorite track on Hotter Than Hell. Really like that song. But Sure Know Something. Yeah, Sure Know Something. I mean, that's... If I'm being honest, the argument isn't whether Sure Know Something beats Comin' Home. The argument is whether Sure Know Something should have beat the song I have at number 1. At number 1, among the singles. Okay, Kiss fans out there, I'm sorry. I'm picking it. It's not the one you think I'm going to pick, though. From 1980's Unmasked, we have Tomorrow, written by Paul Stanley and Vinnie Poncia, which I didn't realize until I started doing the prep for this video. That was released as a single. That was going to be my number 1 album track, because it is right now, subject to change with time and reflection, but right now, it's my favorite Kiss song. I love Tomorrow. I think it's just a perfect little power pop song, which is why, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Kiss fan, you hate it as much as you do. I understand that. But that's my number 1 single. My number 1 album track, you're going to hate it. Also from Unmasked, we've got, written by Vinnie Poncia and Gene Simmons, You're All That I Want. Tomorrow kicks off side 2. You're All That I Want closes side 2. They are hands down my 2 favorite songs on the album. I love those 2 songs. Oh, I love You're All That I Want. It is my favorite Gene Simmons song that he recorded with the band. There are a couple on his solo album that I like better, but as far as Kiss songs, You're All That I Want is my favorite. So Tomorrow versus You're All That I Want. You're all that I want, you're all that I need, versus Tomorrow, we're gonna fall in love, fall in love. Yeah, we're going with Tomorrow on that one. That one's hard. That was very close. It was like. Okay, my final tally. It's easy to count the album tracks. The singles won 7-3 over the album tracks. Kind of surprised. I would have before I started. I would have thought the album tracks would have cleaned up, because I would have thought that they didn't release very many singles, and most of the singles that they released, while I like them, I like the rest of the album better. Right? I Was Made for Lovin' You did not crack this list, for example. I don't think it's a bad song, but there are several songs on the album that are better than that. I just didn't realize until I started doing the research how many of these songs they've released as singles. But there we go. Singles wins by a score of 7-3. So what do you think? Do you agree? Hell no. Do you disagree? Of course. Drop that note down below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button. And while you're down there clicking, go ahead and click the subscribe if you've not already done so. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And I hope that the rest of your day is pleasing. See you soon.